Welcome back to episode 42 of Pop Kannon. My name is Jordan.
I'm Robert.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Joe.
There's 4 of us today on video. You get to see our beautiful faces. And today we are discussing Uncut Gems.
It's a movie.
It is.
It is a movie about random things.
Uncut Gems. There's only one Uncut Gem
and
in
basketball.
And basketball. So, initial thoughts.
Do you want me to
wants to
start?
go?
I'll start.
Okay. Yeah.
So, upon finishing this movie, I felt like it's a movie that people are either going to abjectly hate or fucking love. I don't know that it allowed for that much of a middle on that. Because of the specific subject matter, because of how fast it kind of spun through a lot of things that were happening. I feel like you're either in or out, and you're either love watching it or hate watching it. For me, I very much enjoyed it because I was just so taken by how Adam Sandler gave himself up to a character and wasn't a lovable half-adolescent buffoon. For once, I think since, what was that other movie? Punch Drunk Love. He actually was like, I can act, you guys. It's just way easier to make money doing the other stuff. And I believe it's true that he threatened, if he were not nominated for this movie, that he would make the dumbest movie that ever existed in human creation, and he was not nominated. Which I think is actually a mistake because he was fucking phenomenal in my opinion.
Going off that, I thought he was really good in it as well. However, I don't necessarily agree with you because I feel like I was kind of in the middle for this film. I thought it was okay. It wasn't a poorly made film. Some of the performances were kind of like, oh, this is awkward to watch. Yeah. It's a good representation of how to build tension.
Yeah.
Because I was wound that whole film. And I think that is where it did like something good.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I mean, the subject matter was also all over the place. But we'll get into that as we go. What else? What do you guys think?
I was definitely more. I didn't like hate it. It's not like the worst movie that I've ever seen, but like I watched it in like 3 parts just because like that's how my schedule let me watch it. But like I wanted to leave the room when I had it on, and a lot of it had to do with like the tension, because what I think they did really well was make characters that you feel something for, which in the case was like hate. Like I hated pretty much everybody, and it got to the point where there was so much tension, but I didn't feel like there was no like let go of that. So there wasn't any like, you know, usually you stagger it and it's like and for me it was just like this, and I was just like, oh my god, I fucking hate everybody. And so I'm more in the camp of I did not care for it. But I also don't give a shit about basketball or jewelry or gambling. It's literally, this movie made me pretty stable in my morals and that I don't like any of those things. And it also showed me that I could never be a New Yorker because they're very angry, they're very loud, and they talk very fast.
And over top of everybody else.
Yeah, it's like a lot of screaming. And I'm just not about that.
Joe?
So I actually agree with Jordan that like I don't feel like an extreme either way about this movie.
Okay.
I did really like it. And I sorry, surprise guest. I'm not gonna say I didn't want to like it, but I don't really care about Adam Sandler that much. But based on like Punch Drunk Love, like I know he and like Jim Carrey comes to mind, like they can be very dramatic, great actors when they want to be. It's just they enjoy making people laugh more. But yeah, I thought the performances were really good. I didn't like a lot of the filmmaking. Like, there were some choices I thought that could have been made better. Like, there was a lot that I really did love, but like some things just kind of like went on a little too long, kind of like this review that I'm giving. And I also really liked I liked the representation, not necessarily with Howard, but like with the rest of the cast of like Jewish people in New York. Like, Howard kind of plays as like a stereotype, but also like it's rooted in like more of like there's a reason. Like, he's got a gambling addiction. It's not like a Jewish thing, it's an addict thing.
Yeah.
But like everyone around him, like his family, I was just like, this is kind of like a representation that I don't really see a lot, which I'll get into more later. But like, I did really enjoy this.
I can confirm New York Jews love basketball. Absolutely love basketball. It's a huge thing. Yeah, you had mentioned that he was it was about gambling. You guys both had mentioned gambling. And I think where the film, it sputtered at the start because I didn't know what the point we were getting to was. At the very beginning, I felt like there was probably a half hour of like quasi introductory stuff, but not like what is this about yet.
And honestly, not to cut you off, but like, honestly, I had no idea what this movie was about.
Me neither.
Yeah.
You were literally like, this is what we're going to watch. I was like,
I went into it cold, so
but
I'm kind of glad that I did.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Once we get to oh, he's a degenerate gambler. That's where I feel like it was like we took off.
Yeah.
You know, once we got to that, I was like,
and boy, did we. we took off fast and loose.
His bookie, the guy that he was paying the bets to, is Mike Francesca, who's like the king of sports talk in New York City on the radio.
Okay.
So it's essentially a cameo for him.
Yeah.
Playing that role. And I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, they're making everything about all of New York. This is great. Like, you're going to recognize people from New York. This is fun. But yeah, I mean, I keep going back to just what Adam Sandler was able to accomplish. And I also think that the character probably suffers from undiagnosed ADHD. And I think we kind of all feel that as the film progresses, because he can't focus on a fucking thing.
Yeah.
He just can't. You know,
he's spiraling. His
Yeah.
literal life is just spiraling out of control. And the further we got into the movie and finding out how much money he actually like owed to people, I was like sitting with my hands on my head, like, this is giving me anxiety.
That's
thinking
why I
about
to leave
owing
the
someone
room.
that much money.
Yeah. And like, as somebody who like, I don't gamble, I've never like gone to a casino, I won't even buy lottery tickets, but like, it just like, it bothered me so, like, the money, and I'm just like, oh my god, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And like, he was just also like such an awful like, it's like cheating on his wife. He treats people like shit, and it's just like, I mean, he had everything coming, realistically.
Yeah,
he really did.
Like,
I thought for sure he was going to kill himself before the end of the movie. There's the scene where, I don't know if he's definitely walking down the street, but I mean, that happens like 6 times. But I think it's right after the auction goes really bad for him. And then those guys like beat the shit out of him and throw him in the
trunk.
Yeah.
Oh, the
no,
trunk.
not the
No,
trunk.
in the fountain.
The fountain.
Oh,
I was gonna say, he gets beat up a couple of times, but
I definitely thought, like, at that point, I even said out loud, like, he's gonna fucking kill himself, like, because there's just nowhere to go now.
Yeah.
He's backed into such a corner, and of course that did not happen.
No.
But we did get the sweet release of all that tension. So.
Oh my god.
Boy,
Well,
did we.
before we get there though, like we're talking about like he is like such a terrible person, and I think like you spoke to the fact that like like Adam Sandler for once isn't playing this like bumbling fool, but like he kind of is. Like the energy, the likability of Adam Sandler that he brings to that role really like is the only thing that can get you on that character's side. Like
That's
Howard's
true.
such a piece of shit, and like if it was anybody else in that role besides like I don't like Jim Carrey
Yeah.
or something, like no, you're not gonna root for him.
Right.
Yeah, with those false teeth, I think everybody was like, "Oh, he's goofy."
Yeah, yeah. He couldn't close his mouth at once.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't doing like for once. He wasn't doing shtick. Is
Yeah.
probably what I should. He's not. He's not doing that. He's like being a person.
Yeah.
But a different person that he normally is portraying.
Yeah. And I was frustrated at first because I felt lost in the beginning because they were just like who is he own money to? Why?
Mm-hmm.
But like as it goes on, like you figure out like there's no way you can start that story. It just has to be at the point where it comes due because everything just like goes into one hand and then passed out the other because he's just everything's in motion all the time. Like this is his lifestyle. It wasn't like something that like started at any point.
No,
He
and
lives
it's like,
that every day.
Yeah.
And
it's like the specifics that don't matter. It's just like the sheer volume of people he owes money to, and that like that spiral of borrowing money from other people to pay money back, but he's not actually paying anybody back because he's gambling and then just losing twice as much money. And it's just like
He doesn't own everything. Everything's
Yeah.
this isn't mine.
exactly. It's like it's all lies.
That was probably one of the funniest things. Was that he was like, that's not my like when the guy that brings people in for him goes into the safe.
Oh,
And
Damani,
it's like, it's empty. I was like, oh my god, this is getting fucking out of hand.
Yeah.
So out of hand.
Yeah. Well, the moment that he got that NBA ring, right, and went and pawned it, I was like, he's not even thinking. He just sees an item and just is like in his brain trying to estimate its value to see what he can do with that money. He doesn't have an actual plan. He's not like smart about it. He just takes it and the first pawn shop that he can get to.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like it's addiction. Like
And
how do you get that quick fix?
Joe mentioned actually feeling bad for him. And there's a moment where I actually did, and it's when he took money that he essentially stole from somebody else with the ring, flipped it on a bet, and then found out that he hit on the bet, but they took the bet from him to collect their debt.
Yeah.
I legitimately felt bad for him, and I don't know how they did that. Like, I really was like, what were they thinking? Like, they were thinking they wanted their $70,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah.
But he was like, he thought for sure he hit like big and had like 1.4 million or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
And like he would
I
have.
think initially it was like 600,000 or something like that.
Oh my god.
It was a crazy
That
amount
first-
I'm never gonna see.
Yeah. And he's
Like-
just like, put it all on.
Yeah, put
it all on the Celtics. And I was like, ah!
The
Holy
Celtics.
shit.
No, not
So-
even that, but like he was making all those little prop bets that set up the big one, which is like the tip off and like all that stuff. And I remember hearing about that stuff because my brother and sister's father used to do prop bets for the Super Bowl, but he wouldn't do the actual game. He would only bet on the color of the Gatorade at the end of the game and if it was heads or tails. That was it.
That's funny.
But there was like a million things listed.
Yeah.
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 It's insane, and I don't know what those poor fucking people are doing right now. It's got to be hell on earth.
So, shifting from gambling, let's talk about the Uncut Gem itself. What did you guys think of the cold open that we got, and then subsequently leading to this NBA star having like a euphoric moment staring into this rock? What'd you guys think?
thought a lot. So to start, like, those CGI shots of like flying through the gem, like, I kind of hated them. Like, it would have been fine if it was like faster, but like those things went on for like 2 minutes, and it was just like, this is pretty cheesy for like what this movie is. Like, it felt like it looked like Doctor Strange or whatever, and like for those movies, like, that's fine, but like that's not what this movie really. It felt like a forced metaphor to me.
They did their entire opening credits within it.
And then it was all just to make an ass joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it goes into his colonoscopy.
Yeah.
And then the thing with KG, Kevin Garnett. Sorry, I had to scroll down IMDb because I don't know basketball. Yeah. But Kevin Garnett was great, by the way, and like that was like a cool little storyline where like he connects with like these Ethiopians, these Ethiopian Jews, and it's like that was like an interesting comment because this like white Jewish man in New York like is trying to say that he has something in common and like he's buying this from his people, when like Kevin Garnett has a lot more in common with those people, even though like he's a rich NBA player, and they have that little conversation when they finally like make the exchange. But like it didn't feel like that was explored enough. Like there was that like quick like montage of like all the like the photos of people, and it's just like what was I supposed to think about that? Like are you just
and that's kind of how I felt about it, was super underdeveloped.
Yeah, they like cracked an egg and then just dropped it on the floor.
Yeah. I thought it should have gone more towards like whatever that was, and like obviously we saw like it gave him good luck, and I figured we might see more of that.
I kept thinking about Air Bud and the little scab the kid kept in his sock. That's the only Lucky Charm I know of in my brain.
So the sad truth about what happens is that KG does finally get the uncut gem, I guess, and the Celtics win that series. They go on to the next round and they lose. So it didn't actually help.
Yeah.
In real life, they lose to the Heat, who become the eventual NBA champions. So
thank you for that bit of sports history.
But it was weird because they like almost like they made it a point to show like when Howard got the thing back, like his luck improved, and then when he lost it again, everything went to shit. So like
I think it was always like
it's a rabbit's foot.
It was always implied that it was just a confidence thing. Like they're not trying to say luck is real, but
that's the underlying message in the film.
If there's any justice in the world, like Howard would have got what was coming a lot earlier.
But how great would it be if that was the actual commentary of the film, was that luck is magic and all you need is a little enchanted thing.
I did think for a little bit is the gem cursed? Like
that's what I thought.
And maybe it is because they end up losing.
Right?
But no, and like cuz I just thought like I don't know, and then it's like the whole thing, like to even just going off, it's like, was the whole thing just a freaking metaphor having to deal with like gambling? Because like they say like gamblers like see patterns, you know, they have their lucky tokens and stuff, and it's like, I mean, yeah, what are the odds of him like getting that lucky with those two big like crazy bets, like especially on the basketball game? But it's like, is that just, I mean, at some point the random draw is somebody's gonna win like the lottery eventually, so it's like you know what I mean, but it's like it kind of like we mentioned earlier, like the plot just kind of goes all over, and I think it didn't really pick a track. Like it's one thing to leave something open-ended, like is the gem mystical or is it just like you think therefore it is type of thing. But like I don't know, I just feel like it didn't really pick a concrete like concept, you know what I mean? Like I had trouble like following.
Apparently, so I was like reading different stuff about this because I wanted to find out first about like Ethiopian Jews, and like I was trying to like find like talking points. One thing is that apparently Uncut Gems, like you don't actually know the true value until you actually cut it, like so it is in itself like a gamble. So I don't know if that was a forced metaphor or if it was just this would be a cool good for a movie.
to me that's got to be the metaphor for the whole thing, is that because when he said how much he spent on it.
Yeah.
I don't know through the film if he was consistent with how much he said he bought it for.
I don't think he ever said it until that moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he just kept saying it's like worth $1 million.
Right. He said it
was
worth, but not.
I don't think he spent as much money as he said he did for it. I think he was underplaying how much he actually spent of other people's money that isn't his.
Oh, okay.
To protect himself, probably. Oh yeah, it was like $100,000, whatever. Like totally just trying to be like, I definitely did not take your watch, pawn it, and use that money to fucking purchase this thing. For sure, didn't do that. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's safe with me. I swear. Or like he was putting on a watch every day and then just giving them away as he's out and about to people who he owes money to.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then there was just like so many people like looking to get money from him. I lost track. Like there was that one weird guy with the crazy hair, and was that like his twin brother? Like who the fuck was that? Did I miss out? Like, and then he just shows up. You give me a fake Rolex.
But I feel like
stuff
like
you?
that. But I feel like stuff like that is legitimate.
No,
because like
is.
you're borrowing money from like local business owners, like other people that you're kind of interacting with on a daily basis. So like in that regard, like he's addicted to gambling, and instead of borrowing money from his family, he's just going to like loan sharks and stuff, like his brother-in-law.
That was a fun twist too.
So
yeah, I know, right?
Was that his brother-in-law or his father-in-law?
No, his brother-in-law, because they both married into the family.
I totally read that as it was his father-in-law.
I think Gooey is his father-in-law.
Yeah.
So that old guy.
The guy who went to the thing with him, right?
The one that actually did the bet for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or bought it at the auction.
Bought it at the auction, yeah.
That was the dad from Independence Day.
Yeah. Okay.
That scene.
For me, that was so unclear, because I definitely thought that guy was his father-in-law.
Right.
Which I thought made the dynamic really interesting, because like he married into a family that like now he has a direct connection to some money if he needed it, but then they can't kill him because that's their grandchild's father.
Yeah.
So it becomes a very tangled web. So that's where I was watching it.
Yeah.
But I also think the power structure of that family, or crime family, whatever you want to call it, was very confusing, because towards the end of it, Amanda's like, who's in charge? Because the loose cannon enforcer guy seemed to be taking orders, but then sometimes doing what he wanted to do. And I was like, oh, that's just his nature. But then he like leads a coup at the end of it.
Yeah.
So I was very confused as to like, who's the guy that says we're gonna go do that, and then they all do it because he said so. I definitely think it was what we're understanding now is the brother-in-law.
It was his name like Arlo, or what was his name?
Arno.
Arno. Yeah,
I
because
definitely
he didn't
thought
even
he was
seem
in
like
charge.
he was super like. Even though he was like in charge, he didn't seem like he was a very strong. Like there were some shots of him, like when you see his face, and he just looks weak. Like like his eye, like you know what I mean. Like he looks like he's old and tired and just like doesn't know what to do, or like doesn't want, you know what like he doesn't. I think like at the end of the day, maybe he didn't have like the power within him or whatever to like actually harm Howard.
Yeah.
Because at the end he's family.
He's family, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It didn't play to me like there was like an organization. Like I don't think they were a crime family. Like Howard has his own thing, but like at the end of the day, like his business is legitimate. Everything else he's doing is just gambling on the side.
Yeah. I don't think
Arno
I
think
just
lent him money, and then like he had to like get it back somehow. Like I don't know how he knows these like goons, if they were hired or like if he just like regularly does this kind of stuff.
To me that read like Howard found them through obviously getting married, but they were part of an established thing otherwise.
Okay.
And that's what I took from that.
Yeah.
Was that they were part of a thing, and that his brother-in-law was probably the like general of that little street team that turns money and kicks it upward to whoever the boss was. But we're so little peanuts in this movie with the amount of money that they're dealing with. We don't even get to see or hear of the boss guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like the boss guy. Like he's not even in the picture. Yeah. We're only dealing with the power, the smaller part of the power structure. So like if like, it were
Because, like, and, like, maybe I'm wrong, because, like, I just, like, at least in my head, like, I was, like, making connections to, like, the Irish mob or something like that, because they kept talking about, like, the Celtics and, like, Boston, and, like, I can make connections, people. I don't know about basketball, but I know that much. So it's, like, that's why I kind of just picture, it's, like, they're operating on behalf of, like, something greater, and then the father-in-law just didn't actually have the power to do what needed to be done. Which would be, you know, break somebody's kneecaps or
to get their money back.
Bullet in their head.
Some people have the power, but but so I thought, like, where the movie really started to spiral out of control, but in a good way for me, like when like the tension started to really fucking unwind and we were like, holy shit, was the school play. Like that, in that kind of culture, to show up where your wife and kids are is such a faux pas. Like, and it's just to intimidate. They weren't there. They might have tried to approach him after the show, but like one of my favorite things about Adam Sandler's character throughout the film is he's constantly threatening other people with violence or otherwise, but does not have the means at all to back those things up. But it's such a bravado thing,
right?
To like, I got a jewelry store, I have access to money if I need it, but like, and you need to give me back my shit, but also like, I thought like the dichotomy of that was so fucking interesting. He's constantly threatening people, and then when something actually happens physical, he's like, oh shit. Which I thought was great.
Yeah, because he's just like a slimy cockroach.
Yeah.
Like he's just like a terrible person
that nobody likes. Like his family doesn't like him.
His two sons, I think, with what we got of them, generally respected him.
Until they went to, I think his one son went to the apartment and then was just like...
Yeah. That's when he starts to question, like, oh, the image of my father is not the same as the reality.
So it's like, exactly. It's like the young kids, because it's like, you have, like, most people, I feel like, growing up, like, you have, like, this, like, disillusionment where you think, like, your parents are perfect. Unless if you've experienced something, like, drastically...
super traumatic.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, the daughter, like, is just like, whatever, you know, and then, like, the
she
older
totally
son...
hates
like,
him.
Exactly. And it could just be teenage shit. Like, I get it. Whatever. I was a teenage girl. But... you know, and then the older son, like, he realized, it's like, I think in that moment when they were at, like, the apartment, when he realizes, like, he started to realize who his father really is. You know what I mean? Like, literally has a kept woman. Like, you know what I mean?
He was like, who's the neighbor guy said that there was a really hot woman that lived there, and he's like, shut up. Like,
you talked to like the cokehead or whatever.
Is he talking about mom? Don't talk
to your mother about this.
I made you shit in some strange man's toilet, but you're not allowed to talk to him. Like, okay.
So one of my favorite moments in this film was shortly after the school play, when he was thrown naked in the trunk of his car, and then he comes back to the house and he's talking to his daughter, and his first instinct is like, oh man, I could have died or something, like maybe I should take a moment and like see if my family will console me or whatever. And like his wife fucking blows him off immediately, then like he's like, hey, I'm really proud of you, the play. And she's like, you've said that like 6 times. Like, she's so over it. And then she leaves and blows him off, and he's just like, oh shit. Oh shit. And I think that's when the sinking realization happened for him. I don't think it was prior to that.
No.
Like, he's sitting naked in the trunk of his car, and he's just like, oh, this is bullshit. Let me call my wife.
He's like, I could totally get out of this. All I have to do is apologize, and I'll apologize my way out of this bullshit. Even with his wife, he was going to apologize his way out of it. But once he realizes, like, the people that he truly cares about blow him off, like, he was like, oh, shit. That's not good.
Nope.
And his wife was played by the wickedly talented one and only
Adele.
Adele Dazeem.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was fun to hear Elsa say the fuck word.
Yeah. Yeah. She was, I thought, honestly.
We should say her name is Idina Menzel. We didn't
Yeah.
have to correct ourselves.
No, it isn't. John Travolta tells no lies, sir. But she honestly, she was really good in the small amount of time that she got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was wonderful.
I definitely believed her contempt for him. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
How could you not?
Exactly.
She was so fucking good. She
Yeah.
was so good in this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we got more of her just hating him, but like it was great.
Lakeith Stanfield was great too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who was that?
That was Damani, the guy with the watches.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love him in
Dude,
anything.
imagine the balls to show up and tell the guy you don't have the thing he needs,
Yeah.
but you'll drive him 2 hours south to Philly and then just dump
Ditch
his
him.
ass there
Yeah.
and
Yep.
fucking leave.
Yeah.
Amazing.
He does not give a shit.
That was so fucking crazy. That was the part of the movie, one of them, where I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
He just left him high and dry in there. Oh my god.
Well, it's just
He
like
brought
Sarah
him all
said,
the way to the facility. It was
where like
crazy.
he treats people like shit no matter what, but then like if somebody treats him badly, like all of a sudden like it's the end of the world. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I did everything for you. It's like, no, you're getting
you
exactly
you
what you
did
put
it.
out. Yeah.
You stole all my watches, actually.
Oh. So going off of that, who's like everyone's favorite or most interesting character that they thought?
That's a really difficult question, Jordan, because they're all pieces of shit.
Okay, so who did
Does
you
the
wish
guy
you
in the
s-
hotel room at the end count? No, I'm just kidding.
Wayne Diamond, my new personal hero.
I
I
loved
wish
it.
I looked that fabulous, leaving with that much money.
Yeah.
For a
Dressed
second,
like
I thought
that.
he killed her.
I know. Well, I was literally expecting him to just be like, to him to take the money and run, and like, you know, because like, oh yeah, he's taking a shower. It's like, no, he
Yeah.
stole your ticket. But no, he was a good guy.
Yeah. Once I like thought
But
it through, I was like,
like-
oh, that's smart. But
I thought she was gonna take his initial money and run, but she was the only person in the whole fucking movie who actually loved him, and I don't know why. It's like, girl, you
Something
are
about him.
so
Yeah.
gorgeous. Like, you could do so much better than Howie on your ass.
I thought for sure when we got the shot of Wayne Diamond walking out of the casino with the two things of money with those guys behind him, I was like, he's the fucking boss. He was the one that did her in. Oh my god, what a twist.
See, I was thinking he was gonna be like an undercover cop or something,
Right.
and they were gonna like arrest her and take all the money.
Like, when
Because
you
who the
see a
hell shows up
character
with that
that's
much
so-
money?
So over the top, right? He's such a fucking cartoon character that like you think for sure there's got to be some sort of rug pulling that happens with a guy that looks like that. Like he's gonna wipe the bronzer off of his face and pull off that ridiculous wig and be like, "I'm the police" or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck. Like I definitely thought that
Or,
was gonna happen, but it didn't.
I'm the crime boss.
Right. Like I actually was putting all the pieces in motion the whole. Like I definitely thought that was gonna happen. But I was so glad that she got away with all that money. Good for her.
I hope,
you
and
know?
like I hope that she went far.
Julia? No, her real name is Julia.
Julia.
yeah, Julia Fox. This was her first role.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she was
That's-
fucking
yeah, she
really
did
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, I hated her
So-
so much, but like her performance was so good.
But that's the thing. It's like, at least you like. I didn't find her nearly as like hateable as like some of the other. You know
Oh,
what I
no.
mean?
No.
Like she was just too like, she was a little too. She's not innocent, but like, I don't know. She just. I literally thought this whole time she was just using him for his money, because why else would you date him? Like. You know what I mean? Because like
out
she's
of the
staying
apartment
in
and she
his
got his name
apartment,
tattooed on her ass.
and it's like she's doing all this stuff, and I literally thought that he was gonna hand her that Louis Vuitton backpack full of hard cash, and she was just gonna be like, "Fuck you," like, bye. I don't even think I put up my real middle finger, but like she's just like, fuck. And was gonna leave, but then she actually went to the Mohegan Sun
Yeah.
casino, and then she actually went, and then it's like, and then I was just like, why?
I'm sorry.
Like, be the bad person in the film. Everybody else is terrible.
To clarify, she went to the Connecticut one, not the Wilkes-Barre.
I know.
And you almost said Mohegan Sun Arena, and we all heard it.
I did. I was like, oh, shit.
Wilkes-Barre problems.
Yeah, right.
Nepa life.
Just a valid girl. It's
That's
fine.
funny.
Joe, is there anyone that stood out to you?
Oh my god. Like Robert said, there's just so many like great actors and actresses in this. I guess we already like name dropped so many people, so like I'll throw a bone to the thug Keith William Richards as Phil.
He was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he's
was
so
really
pissed
good.
off, and like that, like by the end, like you see it in his eyes that like he's just done. Like he brought like a great performance, and like you totally believe that, like as shocking as that moment is, like it's like it's kind of like the tension all breaks at once, and you're like, yeah.
It's cathartic.
Yeah,
Well, you know he was waiting the entire film to do that.
yeah, because like
And we
He
were all
wanted to
waiting
do it
for
so
somebody
bad
to do that.
at that school. Like,
and like I kept
Yeah.
expecting like something in the game to just go wrong, and like it's just like that's the end of it. But like
Yeah.
the fact that they won, and then that, because it's just like I don't. First of all, like he probably wasn't going to see any of that money anyway, besides his usual rate. So like he's got no skin in this game. He's just pissed off
yeah.
at that.
And that's why they decide to rob him blind
Yeah.
afterward.
And I love like
and then
his
kill the guy.
yeah, and his opening line is like, "I don't want any fucking water. I told you that."
Dude, they were funny as hell.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Like, I really thought Kevin Garnett did a great job.
Yeah.
You mentioned that earlier. I thought, and I believe I read that there was another basketball player that was up for the role, and then for whatever reason had to pass on it. So then KG took his spot. But I also loved that Adam Sandler's character was only ever referring to him as KG, like that's his name.
Yeah.
Oh,
They were
KG,
friends.
like
Yeah.
KAYGEE, like that's his first name, KG.
Yeah.
Gee.
I loved that. I also liked where he's having a shit fit about how much the Uncut Gem is appraised for
Yeah.
at the desk with that girl.
She
who
said to
just
take
works there.
the pamphlets out of the thing.
Why you calling it? Why you?
I just have a question.
Oh, it's
for
something
her.
else.
It's
Don't worry.
another question. It's a different question.
Dude, and then he starts fucking individually removing them.
He's like,
As if that's
And then
gonna
he's like,
change.
fuck it, put them all back in. I
Yeah.
don't care.
He's like, I don't give a
just keep-
shit,
Oh man.
because he's literally at the end of his rope,
Oh, man.
and that's
that
why
scene.
like the movie's so intriguing to me, because, and that I think that's what pushed me to finish watching it, because towards the middle there I started to kind of like, what time is it? Is it over
Yeah,
yet?
yeah.
Like how much longer? You know.
Yeah.
But it kept propelling me forward throughout it because of I can't believe
"Salt
how
butter."
like entangled in this thing that he's in.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
can't fathom getting so in over your head in something like that. And just to the extent, and then being so close to like
to fixing it.
fixing it and like
And then
coming out on
actually
top.
fixing it. And then like actually doing it and coming through and then having it taken away from you anyway.
Yeah.
I know. So like as cathartic as like that pressure, like it's like that pressure relief valve was like
Yeah.
it hit, but then at the same time it's like a different kind of anxiety. You're like, what the fuck? Like he just got it, and then it's like, oh my, like, crap.
Make no mistake, I was not campaigning for him to get out of this alive. in
Oh
any way,
no,
shape, or
no.
form.
Honestly, the whole time when they won, I was like, during the basketball game, like the last game, the big game, I was like, I swear to Jesus, if he wins, I'm gonna be fucking pissed because he doesn't deserve to get anything. So then when the end happened, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, But I was like, he can't, because I'm like, if he gets what he wants, like, that's just rewarding all of his shitty behavior, and the cycle is never going to end. Like, if he keeps acquiring the funds, all he's just going to do is get into more debt because he's going to gamble more.
Yep. There's almost virtually no chance that he would have paid them what he owed them out of that money. There's no chance.
Because he would have taken that money and put it on some other ridiculous bet, and then guess what? What was that? Was that Game 7?
I believe that was the end of that series, yeah.
So then it's like, well, when they lose, he probably would have lost all his money in that game anyway if he was alive. So,
yeah.
I just love that when he knew that Garnett had the gem, he just bet all these crazy numbers on him, and he pulled through and exceeded them in some respects, which I think is just absolutely crazy. But like, to write that into your script, like to go back to 2012, pull up not even the finals, which you would think it would be about for like the championship, but like the quarterfinal round, which is what that was. Like, that wasn't even the semis to go to the final. It was the quarterfinal. Like, and then to pull those stats and just like, it's a small detail, but like, I'm fairly certain that the numbers that they, like, all of his statistics, the points, the rebounds, all that, I'm fairly certain all of that it was legitimately true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then they found like a 3-game set where one game was really good, the next one was very down, and then the other one was up again for one guy to give him the gem, take it away, and give it back again. Like, that's the fucking that amount of detail. You know, like, I think that's awesome to like write that into it.
Yeah.
Joe, before we wrap up here, you had mentioned earlier that you liked seeing a look at like a modern Jewish family through a different lens.
So, something that I've noticed ever since I was a kid with like actors like the only two that like spring to mind are like Ben Stiller and Adam Sandler. Every time they're in a movie, they always portray their faith. So like if there's a wedding scene, like he's always in like the yarmulke, like the shawl and everything. And like I was impressed by that, because like I feel like the industry maybe would be like more apt to like sweep that away, but I don't know if it's something in their contract. And I don't even know if it's something like in their faith that dictates that, but like I've always been really impressed. But like I've never seen anything to the point of like showing you like a full Seder. And like granted, this is like an affluent New York family having their Seder with this huge family, but like you don't really ever see like the actual like practice of like being a Jew in the modern age in modern America.
And the kids going around and searching for the thing, and then they have to like recite back and forth, one in English and one in Hebrew. Like all this stuff. The only other time I think I've ever seen a Seder performed was on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
It
was in one of the earlier seasons. They also had it, but obviously Larry David is also Jewish,
right?
So that makes sense. But like, the weird thing about it is like being somewhat familiar with what's happening, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna search for the thing now. Like, I knew what to expect next because I've previously watched Curb, which I thought was funny. But no, like you said, and that's something that I think is really interesting, that they always make sure to just include it in some way. Like Adam Sandler, I think in every film of his includes some sort of sport in some way. Because that's also probably a slightly deeper religion for him, I would imagine. But he also does include his Judaism in a lot of stuff, which I think is cool. Except for that movie Blended. I don't think that he was Jewish in Blended.
I don't even know what Blended is.
Me neither.
Blended is a terrible film. Don't ever watch it.
I probably won't.
It's him and Drew Barrymore's, I think, 5th film together or something.
Okay.
They go to Africa. Terry Crews is there. It's a whole thing.
It's that one.
I actually looked it up to see what the last most recent Adam Sandler film I saw was. And
like theatrical release or Netflix release?
No, like I literally was going through his IMDb, like the filmography, and being kept scrolling until I was like, I didn't see that. Didn't see that. Click was the most recent one besides this.
Okay.
Click's a
That I
great
saw
movie.
in its entirely
Click is good.
entirety. Because I hate Adam Sandler, like passionately hate,
Okay.
because his type of humor is not like what I gravitate towards. I also can't stand Will Ferrell. So unpopular opinion. I like Anchorman, but I cannot stand the movie Elf. But like, there's like a few Adam Sandler films that I stop.
I'm judging
I said
you real
unpopular
hard.
opinion.
You can't stand Elf. Wow.
I hate Elf. It's
I hope
so
Toby doesn't listen to
annoying.
this.
It's
Oh my
like
God.
I cringe when I'm watching it because I think I just hate that like weird like adult men being like super childish and like I don't know. I don't know. But
So no Pauly Shore either then.
That's a given. That wasn't even.
No Son-in-Law, Encino Man, Biodome. None of those for you as well, I would imagine. Pauly Shore's got to be off the radar if you don't like that.
I've
'Cause
never- I
for whatever reason, Adam Sandler and him did the same shtick, but Adam Sandler made millions of dollars, and Pauly Shore owns the Comedy Store in L.A. So
yeah, all those just everything you said, it went so far over my head. It
okay, well,
made the
seek
Mile
out
High
Son-in-Law. It's arguably Pauly Shore's best film. If you don't like that, I mean, he does play a character named Crawl. But not that I love Adam Sandler. I appreciate his older works and also his SNL career because I grew up with both of those things.
Yeah, like some of
So
his
I
older
really
stuff
love
I would
those.
watch like with my brothers because that was like more of their speed. But there's things like I've seen, I'm like I just can't stand it. But you know, even like,
his newer
but
shit.
that's
His newer
just, like,
shit.
That's just my personal style when it comes to like
Yeah.
movies. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't really care for comedies, and it's just like my favorite like Jim Carrey movie is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So
I feel like
I
that's
like
a layup
seeing
for every
I like-
female ever. Oh my God, I love Eternal Sunshine. Every girl, everyone.
thanks.
And I used a sports term to describe it for you.
What?
And it was a basketball term.
It's science fiction, though. It's a great sci-fi
full circle.
movie.
Full circle.
Yeah. But so I think it is really interesting to see like comedians like do more serious roles. Like to go back to what we kind of talked about. So
Yeah.
you know, I appreciated that. I found him a very annoying, but that was more his character. That wasn't Adam Sandler. So he did good being a really dislikable character.
He did, and that's why I thought it was really crazy that he wasn't nominated for. I don't even think it was not even like the Golden Globes, not obviously not the Oscars.
So was this a made for Netflix movie
No.
or no? Oh,
No, this
'cause
was it's an A24, right?
It was
What?
A24 and Netflix. So Netflix did
Okay.
fund it, and they got distribution rights, but it wasn't
Right.
So it wasn't tied
It
into
wasn't-
that like 5-picture
Yeah.
deal he had.
Okay.
But I do
Right.
love the implication that they made 5 terrible movies, and then they went to Adam and were like, "You want to make something good?"
The writer director duo, I think they're brothers.
Yeah.
For this,
Safdie Brothers.
they had to convince him to do it.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do the movie.
Really?
He didn't want to. He straight up didn't want to do
Because
it.
I literally had never heard of this before. Was it yesterday? Jordan texted me.
Oh shit.
Yeah. 2 days
So-
ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago I
remember
was at
seeing
work.
the-
We're like talking about movies, and then he was like, "Oh, how about this one?" I'm like, "All right." I started watching it yesterday.
on
Finished it
Netflix.
today. It's
I
on
remember
Netflix.
seeing the ads for it and being like, dude, because it came out. I think I saw the ads for it in like
2019.
November.
It was like
So it was
December,
right
right?
around Christmas. I think it came out.
Okay.
And I was like, I really want to see that fucking movie. I just didn't have the opportunity to get to the theater to
Yeah.
actually see it. But I remember, like, the people that I follow on Twitter reaction, which is a lot of New York sports people,
Shocking.
fucking were head over heels for it. So I was like, shit, man, I really want to see that. And when I saw it was coming to Netflix, I was like, yeah, fucking awesome. There was like a string of like a week or two where a whole bunch of stuff dropped that I was waiting for. It was like the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first thing of all those things that I actually was like, watching this on a Friday. Like, this is the Friday movie that I want to watch. And was fucking astounded by his performance and just the amount of work that they put into that movie.
I mean, I didn't obviously realize that, like, it was, like, a real game and, like, a real basketball player. Like, you know what I mean? So I think, like, if I had that level of knowledge going in, I probably would have appreciated it more because just, knowing the detail that they went through watching, like, at that, I guess if it, you know, an older game and, like, just throwing that and, like, recreating it in the film, like, you know, I respect that for sure.
Yeah. Basing their story off of a real event.
And the timeline checks out for The Weeknd performing in clubs in New York, too.
Are you serious?
That's amazing.
That made sense to me.
Yeah, the timeline checks out for that. Because that was, I mean, I can't feel my face probably came out in what? 2015, 2016?
Something like that, yeah.
So that checks out that he was getting his footing in New York and doing coke in the bathroom with like any girl that would follow him in there because he's The Weeknd and he's performing. Yeah. So
hilarious. I was so
and they put his big fake hair on his head again. That was cool.
I was thrilled to see him. I was just like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. And they made it like a decent plot point.
Yeah.
And then
it was a
huge fight between the two of them. So fucking funny. And that's another situation he threatened somebody physically. Clearly was not going to be able to handle that.
No. Like, you can't just go to a club where like and then just like beat up like the main performer and like expect he's not going to have
get into the back.
It's like
he was just able to get into the back because he sold one of those guys a piece of fucking jewelry, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's with us. I know him," and he immediately starts a fucking fight.
Yeah. Cause like, and cause that's like an interesting point too, because it's like when you're somebody, I guess, like who sells, you know, jewelry. I mean, that's like obviously expensive stuff. I mean, like you're dealing with like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. So like for him, it's like he kind of like he gets that weird touch of greatness, and we talked about it before. Like he calls him KG, like he's best friends. It's like you're not, and like take selfies. It's like, but you're not friends. You're literally performing a business transaction, but you get that little closeness that most retail doesn't give you the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
So it's like that. I think, you know, that probably lends itself to like his ego, and he thinks that he's like, but at the end of the day, nobody's going to back him up because at the end of the day, he sold you a watch. So you're not going to be his backup.
Guy.
Yeah.
You can get a watch down the street. Like,
what do you guys think of the Furby medallion that he had?
I liked when he started moving the eyes.
Oh yeah, when he hit the thing in the back and the eyes fucking move.
Scare people.
There are people that would really enjoy that necklace in 2012 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not one of
any final thoughts on Uncut Gems, Joe?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm a little glad that he didn't get the Oscar nomination. I don't actually know who's nominated this year. I don't really follow the Oscars anymore, but like I don't really want to see like The Waterboy on Netflix with like Academy Award winner Adam Sandler. So that's one small blessing.
Joe, in this reality,
anything can happen. But I'm upset that Wayne Diamond didn't get the nomination for Best Supporting Role.
Best Supporting.
Just so I could see that guy gussy it up on stage.
Oh man, there's so many people I gotta thank.
Drops dead.
That's just how the actual actor looks.
Yeah, it's
too.
just him. It's just him.
They saw him and they were like, "We need to cast him."
I guess
he's a Las Vegas caricature.
I think as far as final thoughts for me go, like I said, it's an okay movie. I doubt I'll ever watch it again, and if I do, it would probably be just to like have on in the background, because that's just, I don't know, these types of movies, I guess knowing where he winds up might be more satisfying to watch him dig himself deeper.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So that's basically good performance by Adam Sandler and most of the cast.
Yeah.
Especially Adele Dazeem.
Any other final thoughts?
I don't
Sarah?
regret watching it. Again, like you said, I don't think I'm gonna
Put that one on
watch
the
it
Blu-ray.
again.
I don't regret watching it, Sarah.
But I think maybe the only reason I would watch it again would be to pick up on all like the New York references and pop culture references that I miss but I still wouldn't get them, so probably not. But again, I think Adam Sandler did a good job considering my thoughts about him going into this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea, but I didn't hate it.
That's fair. I mean, so I probably liked it more than anybody here, I think is what we've established.
Yeah.
But, and it's definitely in the Blu-ray consideration for me just to own, but it's probably going to be like the $10, $15 bin before I even look at it. So, and I'm sure it'll be there by next Christmas. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried. Blu-ray values like tank after 3 months anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's not one that I'm like gonna throw on all the time. I mean, I have a lot of movies now that I don't ever go like, I'm gonna watch that again. I never rewatch stuff.
Yeah.
I barely ever rewatch things.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that I just want to be like, have you seen this? If not, we're watching it. Like that kind of deal.
I'm a huge rewatcher, so like that's kind of how I rate movies. Like, can I watch this like once a month for the rest of my life?
Once a month? That's fucking insanity.
No, I just have a few movies that I cycle through that I like put on when I don't know what to watch.
See, like I
also
I'm
fall
not
asleep to them. Like Silence of the Lambs is like
Nothing puts me down like Silence of the Lambs.
Just as I'm putting my face in the crest of my pillow, I hear.
I mean, you realize that I have like a true crime podcast, right? So like this is the shit I fall asleep to.
And like to your point, you know, you said that you're not necessarily a fan of comedy. Like that's all I watched when I was young.
Yeah.
That's it. I born and bred into, and like that's why scary movies for the longest time for me were like,
Yeah.
I'm not into it. I'd way prefer to fucking laugh my ass off through something.
See, like I grew up watching like Harrison Ford movies and Law and Order and the X-Files with my parents, so
I can name like 3
of-
Harrison Ford movies. 2 if I don't count Star Wars.
Dude, The Fugitive is amazing.
Dude,
You
he's
should
so
see The
good in The
Fugitive.
Fugitive.
I love that's
You
one of
should
my
see The Fugitive.
Is that on your loop?
I have it on my iPad to potentially fall asleep to. It's an option.
It's like of the 3 she always rewatches, it's number 4. She's always like, never
No,
mind.
it's
And
like
it's something else.
It's like Kill Bill, Silence of the
Okay.
Lambs. There's like Beginners is that's a good one. So, What We
don't
Do
know
in the
what that
Shadows. Those are
I love What We Do in the Shadows. That is one that like my roommate, it's like their like security movie, like it just goes on randomly.
It's just a good one. It's like, you know, that's what it is. It's a security movie. I like that. I'm
Yeah.
stealing that phrase.
We're always like, well, if you think about it, I kind of swept.
Well, for anyone who thinks that Uncut Gems is their security movie,
Please
let
get
us
help.
know.
What a fucking oh my god.
They
Teletherapy
just
is
wanna
a
hear
great
people-
option.
They just want to hear people over talking each other for 2 hours.
Yelling. Lots
And
of
just
yelling.
tension. It's that sweet sense of release of Adam Sandler getting shot in the face.
And the dumb look on his face as they zoom in.
And then we zoom in, and then mirror the intro with the outro by going into his face.
When they hovered over his head for that long, I was like, we're going into the fucking wound, man. We're going into that
Keep
fucking
all
wound.
hands and legs inside the vehicle at all times. It's a roller coaster.
I fucking knew. And then the camera slowly starts pulling towards him. I'm like, son of a bitch, we're going in the fucking gunshot wound.
Yeah, and I was like, we're gonna get the gems again, aren't we? And then we got the gems.
Yep.
So
I knew it.
It's
Joe.
Knew it.
It's because we are the Uncut Gems, guys.
That's the fucking.
We don't even know our own value until you until you cut
Until you
us
shoot us
open.
in the head.
Well, I don't think there's a better way to
I
end
need to figure
this.
it out.
It's very Fight Club.
So, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are at Pop Kannon with a K. Don't forget, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Jordan, can be found on Twitter and Instagram at JL24FPS.
I'm Robert, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Yesball.
I'm Sarah. You can find me on Instagram, and I actually recently just made a Twitter again after years. I haven't posted anything, but I'm at Serendipity on both of those.
And I have been and will continue to be Joe O'Connor. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Joe4Broke. That's FOR, not the number.
Oh.
Of course.
Clever, right?
This has been episode 42 of Pop Kannon. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time for episode 43.
Three.
That's
Math
how numbers
is
go.
hard.